The Essence language is a language for a precise and actionable way to describe different software engineering practices, whatever practices you want. The Essence consists of both of the language and the Essence kernel of software engineering. Together, the kernel and the language, they create a common ground for forming an essentialized method by essentializing applicable practices. In other words, all kinds of software engineering practices are described using the kernel and the Essence language while focusing on what is essential. First, we have the notation, the different shapes and icons of the Essence language, as well as any other language, such as Finnish or English for example. All of these languages has verbs and nouns. The Essence language includes similar constructs in the form of shapes and icons. The Essence consists of different elements, each of which have a syntax. Using the syntax, these different shapes and icons with different meanings, a practice, any software engineering practice, can be illustrated as essentialized using the Essence language. The Essence language categorizes shapes and icons into three groups. The first groups, things to work with, are the elements of health, progress and documentation. So these are the most crucial things in software engineering. In an essentialized method, they are the elements which are seen as crucial for the whole success of an endeavor. First, we have the alphas. This is alpha. Alpha is one of the essential things we work with. Alpha stages are followed and analyzed to determine the progress and health of endeavor. This is a work product. Work products are tangible things produced while conducting different activities. They describe alphas and their aspects and give evidence for alpha states by verifying them and their achievement. The second category is the things to do. To make a progress, we need something, and something must be done for it. Activities. Such as coding, testing, whatever, are required to produce or update the work products. And thus steer the whole progress. Activities are not part of the standard, but they are bound to specific practice, such as Scrum, for example. Activity spaces. Group related practices together. Aggregated practices can be better organized to make them easier to find and utilize when common challenges are confronted by practitioners. Patterns. Are generic operating models and solutions to typical problems, such kind of a process confronted in software engineering. The third category, we have the competencies, described by a star. The specific abilities are needed to apply a practice. These competencies encompass the abilities, capabilities, attainments, knowledge and skills necessary to do a certain kind of work. Different activities require different competencies, such as management, leading, whatever, and they must be thus identified and acquired for the process. Describing a practice utilizing the Essence language elements is called essentialization. Through essentialization, different practices such as Scrum, can be presented in a similar way to compose a best method for a software engineering endeavor. The essentialization is performed with following steps. First, we have to identify the elements making up a practice, such as the alphas, work products, competencies, activities, activity spaces, and different patterns. Next, we have to find the relations between all of these elements, and their outlines have to be depicted. Also, the practice cards of the elements are created at this point. Now, all these elements are provided further details, additional guidelines, examples, and possible references to another resources such as books are usually added to the cards. These essentialized practices can be later utilized in another software development methods. With essentialized practices, all of the organizations are able to build reusable assets to use in different endeavors. Through essentialization, associated metrics and governance are bundled with practices, which is especially valuable, for example, for distributed teams requiring a sufficient level of synchronization. The assurance quality of the Essence language, the normative requirements for the Essence language have been defined. A practice such as a Scrum can be essentialized using the kernel and the language. Resulted practice descriptions are to demonstrate in which detail the conformance has been fulfilled. We have the three levels of the Essence language conformance. We have the level 1, narrative. All of the conceptual elements of the Essence language have been used as a framework at the narrative level. All of the elements are expressed correctly by the practice according to the language, and all of the elements have been covered and identified. No other constraints or invariants exist. The depicted practices can be referenced by other practices, but not exchanged between tools or composed automatically with other practices. At the second level, we have the interchange. Then we have the full expressive quality of the Essence language utilized in the practice. The descriptions of the practices are typed properly, and any applicable language elements and association have been used correctly. Practices can be exchanged between tools, which allows practices to be composed with the kernel and other practices depicted with the Essence language. All of the practice descriptions are highly structured and require expert authoring of specific modeling tools to produce. Then we have the level 3, actionable and trackable. The full power of the Essence language, all of the elements, all of the relations has been utilized by the practice description. The descriptions are prepared to be automatically conducted and tracked. Additional details and precision have been added to support the level 2 descriptions, which allows the language's dynamic semantics enabled tools to provide more sophisticated features. All of these three levels, conformance levels of the Essence language, provide a clear indication what can be done with the practice description. It has to be noted that these levels itself are not associated with practice, but they only measure the level of detail with which the different practices of software engineering have been essentialized and can be thus utilized.